Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to John Carroll University. My name is Mike Scanlan from the class of 2006. Serve as the VP of University Advancement on our senior leadership team. And so on behalf of our board of directors and our presidents, plural, Alan, Carolyn, and our entire SLT, I'd like to welcome you all to John Carroll, to this beautiful new facility. If you haven't been here, our Athletic Wellness and Events Center. Please take a walk around. 125,000 square feet upstairs of recreation and athletic space. Really a symbol, a tangible symbol of the momentum that we have here at JCU right now. I want to welcome a few folks here who are in the room, notably Miciak, our president, and Carolyn Noll, Sorg, our president-elect. We're glad you're here, as well as members of our senior leadership team. Our board of directors are here. I saw quite a few alumni in the room already, some faculty and staff. Of course, the members of the athletic department, and I want to shout out Joe Ginley, who's done a fantastic job putting today together. So, Joe, thanks for that. And I also, maybe most importantly, want to shout out our student athletes who are here in the house today, some members of the John Carroll University football team. Thanks for coming, guys. There's some really important other folks here today. Nothing that we do at John Carroll or in athletics at John Carroll can be done without the support of our alumni and our donors. And when it comes to football, the Gridiron Club and the Blue and Gold Club are instrumental in what we're able to do. Perfect example, we were able to fly our team down to Georgia for the NCAA playoffs with support from those clubs and others. So I just want to maybe give a round of applause to the Blue and Gold Club and the Gridiron Club. I'm not going to name every single person in the room. There's a lot of VIPs, but I did want to give a shout out to our former football coach, Regis Scaife, who I saw in the room today, who had a great tenure as the leader of the Blue Streaks. And of course, I saw him in the hallway, Coach John Story, the legend, sitting in the back there. Right next to maybe the most famous football coach in Cleveland, former football coach Chuck Kyle of St. Ignatius. Chuck, a great alum of John Carroll. When you walked into this meeting room today, you probably walked by the beautiful mug of Dave Rastoka on the wall out there. So shout out to Dave, who recently named our Athletic Hall of Fame corridor, where we're going to host a reception after this press conference. So please join us. And most importantly, I want to welcome the Polian family. Laura, Shar, and Chris, welcome. We're glad you're here. Let's get to the matter at hand. We're here today to announce the 21st head coach of John Carroll University football. We're entering our 104th season. I think the only people not excited about this announcement today are the referees in the NCAC. I heard from a few of them when they saw the headline yesterday, and there were some wide eyes. We've seen his act on the sidelines and the SEC across the country, so I think they're a bit worried. This is the third press conference that I've hosted for Brian, right? So we go back a couple years when we were thrilled to welcome him back as our athletic director, now our VP of Athletics and National Engagement. Great day over in the press box at Shula Stadium. Shortly thereafter, we announced our move to the NCAC, which I think we all look back on as a really pivotal moment for both our institution and our athletic department. I brought him to the microphone at that one too. I'm not going to bring him up yet because I want to ask our president, Miciak, to come up and offer a couple of remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to John Carroll, or welcome back to John Carroll. It's a great day for JCU, and it's been a great season. So I also want to acknowledge the team, but everybody, the coaches and the staff involved in the 25 campaign, taking us to the NCAA semifinals. So congratulations, guys. It's a terrific year. So let's give them a hand again. So these are, I guess, most of our seniors, and they told me it wasn't required attendance, So anyway, we appreciate seeing you guys. They were out at 7 o'clock on Tuesday morning also when we introduced Brian as head coach. So over the last several years, 3 years, Brian has been, just such an outstanding leader for our athletic team and also for the executive team as vice president of the university. He has seen us through the successful transition into the North Coast Athletic Conference. He's been involved in all kinds of facility improvements, including opening the AWE, the facilities you're in here, things that are going on over at Shula Stadium, on the fields, just critical facility improvements that really have made our campus state-of-the-art for athletics. And most importantly, he has recruited some outstanding coaches and staff to this university. And our program has never been stronger, and we are grateful to Brian for his leadership on that. Now, some will tell you that Brian has never stopped doing a job that he ever had, right? So he's still coaching, right? And he sees himself as a coach. He identifies as a coach, and I think that was always very apparent to me. And this pacing, that he does, whether it's on the sideline or up in the press box, for one, I will be happy that Brian will be coaching, because when he's pacing in the press box, everybody is uncomfortable, right? And we just as soon he'd do it down on the sideline. So I had known this was a great idea when, I thought about, Brian serving as our next head coach. I talked with, a number of key advisors on our board and, people in the profession about the opportunity, before I approached Brian, just knowing he was the right person for the job. And to give Brian all the credit in the world, when I talked to him about it, he said, well, let's step back and say, the most important question is who should be the next head coach, who would be the best next head coach for football. And he spent a couple of weeks, and we did some vetting of candidates, had a lot of discussions, and we arrived at the mutual decision that he would indeed take the role. So, Brian is really an archetype. He has all of the qualities of a fantastic head coach, right? He can recruit at the national level. He connects with the student athletes. He connects with the coaching staff. He knows Generation Z inside and out. And if you didn't know, he wrote a book on it, okay? And if you need a copy, you have some copies with you, Brian? All right, in the trunk. Okay. And I am sure that our players are going to love playing for Brian. True? Yes. I don't know. What'd you think? I thought it was pretty affirming. Okay. But most of all, Brian really understands our Jesuit Catholic identity and our mission and identity and the work that we have to do academically, experientially, and in personal formation for our student athletes so that they become men of Carroll, right? And this is a language that is exclusive, right, to the football team about being men of Carroll. And I know Brian is the right person to lead that team because he is a man of Carroll. Welcome, Coach Polian.
Thank you, Al. And for those who don't know, Al's tenure as president is almost up. He's retiring at the end of May and has done a fantastic job guiding us, really transforming John Carroll University over the last 5 years. We're going to miss you. And on June 1st, we'll welcome Carolyn Noll Sorg, who's our president-elect and has been a colleague of Brian's, I think, since day one. You started the same week. So, Carolyn, if you would.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Al. It was a real privilege on my part to get to walk into work at this very special place the same week as Brian. And we were both walking into departments that historically have worked together quite closely, athletics, and I came in to run enrollment. And Brian and I, from day one, really felt that it was critical that we establish strong communication ties between our teams. And I think what has followed has been a really special culture of collaboration between our areas, and it's really been a wonderful experience and a privilege on my part to get to do that alongside such a phenomenal leader in Brian. You know, we have often talked about, and I'm going to quote Brian several times here because he has some good one-liners here. We have often talked about our national strategy here at John Carroll, about expanding our footprint of students across the country, and how athletics is and should be the tip of the spear. It's a place where we can go into new places that don't know us and offer students an opportunity not just to have an incredible academic experience, but also an incredible athletic experience. And so the partnership and the communication and the culture that we worked to build was really all about helping our coaches and our admission team get on the same page, work collaboratively, work together. And we were able to achieve a 43% growth in out-of-state students in these last 2 years with the efforts that we've put in place. And you know, so much of that has to do with the culture Brian's created in the athletic department, in his innate ability to be a recruiter. And this momentum, this sense of momentum that we've been able to usher in as a whole institution, as a community, has really stemmed from so many of the great communication examples and leadership examples that we've seen from Brian. You know, Brian often has a line, he says, self-centered people don't like John Carroll, other-centered people love it here. And I hope I quoted Joe okay, that was close enough. Brian is an example of an other-centered person. Anytime I've asked him to come and talk to a group of school counselors and share his expertise on Gen Z, he's been driving across the region with me. Anytime we've asked him to step up to the podium and give a talk, not just to prospective athletes, but to any prospective student, he has taken that call. And he's done a phenomenal job of connecting with other people. And that's how I know that Brian, as he steps into this new role, is going to bring this other-centeredness with him into the role as a coach, into work with students. And I know that that is going to make a difference in his work, both on the field and with our continuation of our national strategy at the senior level. There's certainly, to me, I've always believed that there's a relationship between your sense of purpose and just your sense of excellence. We seem to see trends, right? When someone's really good at what they do and they really love it and they feel passionate about it, that's when they are most successful. And I think we can see that alive in Brian every single day. I've known for a long time that coaching is in his blood, and I know his family knows that as well. And in fact, one time after a senior leadership meeting where we were, doing a lot of feeling sharing, Brian told me that his first call after that meeting was to the Cleveland Browns to put his feet in the grass, because football is how he resets. Football is where his heart is. And so to watch him take his standard of excellence that he has offered across the athletic department, across the institution, and pair that with what's always been in his blood, I think is gonna offer something really special to John Carroll. I wanna close with a quick story, and then we'll hear from Brian himself. Just last week, I got an email from a mom who has a student here at John Carroll who was going through a really scary and difficult medical situation on campus here. And she was reaching out to Al and to me and to others to share what a special experience he had through something very scary. And this family is 8 hours away. She couldn't just get in a car and be here at the Cleveland Clinic. She got in a car and had to drive a ways. And so this student, who's not on the football team, he's in a different program, his head coach for his program spent the day with him at the hospital so that he was accompanied through this pretty scary thing as his mom got closer to campus. And Brian continued to check in with the family throughout the day. That is what student-centeredness is all about. That's the type of culture that Brian has created in the athletic department. And that's the kind of leader that Brian is, where he shows up not just by having expectations of others to show up, but by doing it himself. And I can't tell you how much that meant to that family. So Brian, we can't wait to see your continued leadership. I can't wait to continue my work with you in our new roles, and can't wait to hear from you in just a moment. Back to Mike.
Thanks, Carolyn. We think it's important to acknowledge that there's maybe some nostalgia in the room back to 1987. Brian is not the first athletic director and football coach. That, of course, was Tony DiCarlo. Tony, who, became a legend here for his work, whose name is on the varsity center out there. And so certainly Brian follows in Tony's footsteps in these dual roles. So if the DiCarlo family is watching on the live stream, here's to Tony. And now it's my privilege to introduce my friend, the 21st head coach of John Carroll University football, Brian Polian.
I have to lower the mic. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it a great deal. It means so much. Very surprised to see some very dear friends and mentors and colleagues show up today, and it's wonderful, and for that I'm very grateful. A couple of things. Today's a very special day for myself and for my family. For really one of the first times in my entire career, three things that I care about very deeply are all aligned, and that doesn't happen very often. I've been afforded the opportunity to get back to doing what I love to do, what I feel called to do, and that is to coach, to be on the field every day with the student athletes, teaching and developing those relationships, and I missed it dearly. And it is not my profession, it is my purpose. And to get back to that, I'm very grateful for. I'm lucky enough to do it at Carroll, which I always dreamed that someday I'd reach a point in my career that I could come back and do it here. But life has a winding path, and I ended up coming back as an administrator, and I didn't think this opportunity would ever be here, but it's here today, and for that I'm very grateful. Most importantly, though, my wife and children are enjoying stability in a community that they really enjoy. Northeast Ohio has become home very quickly. Aiden and Charlotte are blossoming. They have a place that they can call home now, as opposed to one was born at Notre Dame, one was born at Texas A&M, and didn't know what to call home. They have a home now. And to have all three of these things aligned at one time is such a blessing. So the question is, how did we arrive here today? I've been teased a lot today. I, as the athletic director, have hired myself. As the interview process was strenuous, I can assure you. So how did we get here? I think before we address that, I want to publicly acknowledge Jeff Behrman and say thank you. Jeff did an exceptional job here. Jeff's a friend, he's a teammate, and he's a part of the brotherhood. He is of this family tree. What he accomplished with his staff in a short time was tremendous. I'm grateful for our professional partnership. I'm grateful for our personal friendship. We're happy for him. When you make a leap from high-quality Division III to Division I, I think it speaks to the power of our brand and the job that he did. And we wish him all the best. We're sad to see him go, but here we are. We have to move forward. Following Jeff's departure, I started to prioritize what was going to be important in the next head football coach at John Carroll. I felt like we needed somebody with head coaching experience. I didn't feel like where we are as a program and the work that these young men have done, that we were going to be a training ground for somebody that was learning on the job. Our job is too important for that. I wanted somebody that had a proven record of building culture and building relationships. I felt like recruiting in Northeast Ohio, the Midwest, and the agility to get out into the national markets, we needed somebody who understood how to recruit at the college level. And then finally, somebody with John Carroll ties. Didn't necessarily have to be a grad, but it had to be somebody that had spent time here and understood the uniqueness of this institution and our mission. I began fielding inquiries pretty quickly, and I was stunned at the interest in the job nationally. We had over 125 people reach out to us. And again, I think that speaks to the power of this institution and, frankly, the power of our brand in the world of football. I was vetting candidates and had over half a dozen initial conversations with folks. It wasn't until I approached President Miciak and our board chair, Bill Donnelly, President Miciak in person, Bill Donnelly on the phone, to kind of update them on where we were at. This is where we're at in the process. Here's who I'm kind of focused on. Here are the pros and cons of each candidate. They both asked if I would consider, had I considered this role. And up until that point, I had not, because I did not want to abandon my leadership role within the department. But we began discussing scenarios as to how this would work. And at that point, only then did I really truly consider going back to the field and taking on this role. In the Jesuit tradition, though, I took some time to discern. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't quickly making a very selfish decision that was only based on the fact that I was missing coaching. That was not the right reason to do this. The student athletes are always my highest priority, and they will remain so. I asked for help, and I listened to a lot of people around me. I talked to stakeholders around the university, talked to a couple of leaders in the department quietly as to what their thoughts were. I really tapped into our JCU football network in both the NFL and the college levels, and some trusted alumni. And they all offered valuable insight. They offered advice and offered me, hey, you probably need to think about X, Y, Z. And then finally, I listened to my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, Charlotte, who said, I've listened to you talk about how much you miss coaching. And she said, if you don't do this, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. And that moment of clarity from a 13-year-old girl. So ultimately, I arrived at this conclusion. There are several high-quality candidates that wanted this job. And frankly, some of them are better X's and O's people than I am. However, I couldn't find a single candidate that loves this program and loves this school the way that I do. So coming home to steward the athletic department it felt like a homecoming. Stewarding this football program feels like the culmination of a dream, and I'm so happy about it. So with that, I'll do the best I can to keep it together here, but thank yous. My wife, Laura, who has moved all over the country and sacrificed. My daughter, Charlotte. Aiden is at work, just got his driver's license. He had no interest in he's working hard. My older brother, Chris, class of 1993, he's the reason I came to John Carroll. Excuse me. Leadership. I'm grateful to our leadership. I'm grateful that they challenged me to think about this, and I'm grateful for their trust. President Al Miciak, who's been a wonderful boss, he's turned out to be a great friend and mentor, and what a nice surprise that has been since I've come back. President-elect Carolyn Noll Sorg, who we arrived literally the same week and have been on this journey together, and I'm so excited about the future of this institution under her leadership. Board chairs Bill Donnelly and Nancy Bonacci, who were kind enough to work with me through this. This move is unique in 2026. When Tony DiCarlo did this job and did it well, we had probably 10 fewer sports and 400 fewer athletes. So this is not possible without a great team of athletics. And at this point, it's important to recognize Dejan Mladenovic, who is a longtime soccer coach, Carroll alum, has been here his entire career, has been promoted to, what's your title? Senior Deputy Athletic Director, and without his work, this would not be possible. So congratulations to Decky. Carrie Beebe, the great Casey Conti, Corey Sharpley, the phenomenal Joe Ginley, Sean Cronin, Candace Pluhar, our administrative team, we would not be able to pull this off if it were not for their willingness, their taking on of extra responsibilities. It's important to recognize those who came before me. It's amazing. If I'm struggling up here, it's because I didn't get to practice. I was recruiting all day. Tom Arth, our great former head coach, was here with his son, so we were spending 4 hours together recruiting. But thinking about those who came before, Coach DiCarlo, his wonderful wife Rita, it's hard not to think about them today. Coach Regis Scaife, who has meant so much to this program. John Story, who was my position coach and coordinator for 3 years here. And you think about the names of John Ray and Jerry Schweikert, again, Coach Arth, Coach Fanati. This is some pretty rare air that I get to join today. I want to recognize Coach Dean Paul's in the room, our associate head coach and defensive coordinator. He did, and our assistant coaches, the job that they did the minute Jeff announced he was leaving, the amount of attention that they provided to our team to make sure that everybody was okay, and then the amount of energy that they've put in to make sure that we can keep this recruiting class together and keeping all of our prospects calm while we work through this process. Dean is a pro. I'm thrilled he's on our team, and my hope is that he'll be here for a long, long time. Friends and colleagues around campus, thank you very much. I was worried about how this choice was going to be received, and the energy and the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, and I'm really grateful for that. Fellow Blue Streaks across all levels of football, Tom Telesco is in the room today, former GM, high school teammate, college teammate. To have him here today is incredibly special. He was one of those phone calls that I made and said, what do you think about this? Let's talk about the pros and cons. I was on the phone 2 nights ago with Dave Ziegler, the assistant GM of the Tennessee Titans. They're trying to find a coach right now, and we're on the phone talking about Blue Streak football. So our friends in that network have been great. The alumni network, their energy is contagious, especially the Blue and Gold and the Gridiron Clubs. We'd be lost without their support. And I've got a bunch of old roommates that are going to be signing up for the Gridiron Club here pretty soon. So, and then as I think about roommates, 3 of my closest friends are in the room today. It surprised me. The text thread still says Cedar House. I mean, that's how deep it goes back, and I'm so incredibly grateful that they would show their support today. So in closing, looking forward now, we have great momentum as a university, and the football program is a small piece of that, and we're going to work in support of that. We are welcoming in a new era with President-elect Carolyn Noll Sorg. What an exciting time for the institution. Incredible investment across campus to hear families talk about, especially alumni families who come back and see everything that's happened in the last 5 years. AWE, the Gateway Project, what's been done at the library. Every dorm's got AC now, spoiled. Enrollment's up, students are coming from across the country. The academic experience keeps improving and evolving. The College of Health, everything that's going on in this campus, it's just spectacular. If John Carroll were a stock, you'd want to buy it now because it's rising in a hurry. We also have great momentum as a football program, and that's in total part to the great young men that we have in our program. And we're going to work relentlessly to keep building upon that. We have outstanding young men. The entire team takes part in the Jesuit Day of Service every spring. For the second year in a row, a John Carroll football player has been honored at the AFCA All-State Good Works team at the Sugar Bowl. Matt Rather was just awarded the NCAA Impact Award at the National Convention. We have great young people, and it's a great joy to come to work with them every day. We're expanding our brand awareness. We're expanding our recruiting footprint. Their work in the football playoff, getting us to the semifinal, resulted in over 3 million impressions for John Carroll University through social media. That's incredible work that they've done. The 2025 season in particular was incredibly special, and I really believe brought the community together. When you look at some of the videos that popped up with watch parties across the country, winning the NCAC title in the first year, when we were picked third in the preseason poll, not that I remember those things. The victory over Mount Union, which I have beat Alabama twice. Beating Mount Union felt a whole lot better, I can assure you of that. And seeing President Miciak out on the field after the game celebrating with the players was really cool. And then the run to the Final Four and getting to experience that with this team. We have a very proud and engaged alumni network with football. We're going to keep making them proud. The next step now for us is a consistent level of national excellence. And I have never been so convicted that John Carroll University football can win a national championship. I believe it in my heart. That journey starts today. It starts together. And I'm incredibly proud to be in this role. So thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it a great deal. No questions, right? If any of our friends from the media, all four of them, have any questions? Poto? Thank you. We're going to figure it out on the fly, I think, a little bit. Certainly, when we began, when President Miciak and President-elect Noll Sorg, when we started talking about this, literally went through the exercise of what would Monday through Sunday look like in the fall and put it on paper, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. with football, this time to this time dedicated to athletic department business. Obviously, certain times I'm going to be on the field with the coaches. Again, not possible if it weren't for the great administrative team. But I think there are going to be some ebbs and flows, and we're going to have to figure it out. I'm not going to be on campus tomorrow. I'm going to be out on the road recruiting. I got 5 stops I got to make. So, I think certainly for the next month it's going to be a dead sprint. But a lot of the work that I was doing this time of year anyway was in conjunction with enrollment. So I would go to Buffalo and do the admitted students reception. Well, now I'll just go the night before and hit 5 high schools before I go to the reception. We'll do that in Erie. We'll do that in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go down, spend a day or two in Charlotte and do some recruiting in an area that we're trying to open up for the university. So there's going to be some ebbs and flows. When I presented President Miciak with literally, this is what a week will look like in the fall, I think the question was, are you insane? Like, can you do this? But I lived my life for 25 years of, you go to work on August 1st, and if you've had a good year, you don't get another day off until early January. And I'm used to that. And in fact, I'm energized by it. I've been, I was in the weight room this morning with the team at 6 a.m. for no other purpose than I just wanted to be around them. And so when that alarm went off at 5:15, Laura was like, oh boy, we're back in this life again. I was like, yeah, we are. So I told Laura last night I was going to be home at 7 o'clock. I walked in the door at 8:30. I got a sideways look, and I'm like, we're back. We're back now. We're back. So. Yes. So I appreciate that question. We had this conversation with the team yesterday morning. There are things that we believe in here as a program that are bigger than any one individual. And there are things that we believe in that are not going to change simply because I'm the head coach now. This is not an ego trip. This is not about coming in and saying, well, I'm the boss, so we're not going to talk about these things anymore. I would tell you the vast majority of what we talk about are staples and tenets of the program, not of any one individual coach. We talk about being men of Carroll. That's been through a lot of coaching staffs here. That doesn't change. We talk about tough people win. Mentally, emotionally, physically tough people win. I believe that. I'm not going to go up and tear that sign down off the wall just because the previous coaching staff put it up there. That is something that is ingrained in our team. That doesn't belong to me. That belongs to them. And so culturally, this is a really healthy place right now, and my job is to figure out where I can add to that. Now, that said, Jeff and I, we have very different personalities. I don't think Jeff ever talked to a referee. Clearly, it'd be a good suggestion. I should try that. My energy level is different. My approach is different. But I have, just like I want every player to be their own person, I'm going to be my own person. We said to the team yesterday, we can all, and I'm stealing a quote from Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots. We can have different personalities. We just got to have the same mentality. I believe that this team's got a great mentality. I believe in that mentality. We can all have our different personalities, and I'll like everybody else, I'll have my own spin on this. So. Thank you. We're going to go to Carnegie Mellon next year, and we're going to go play another really high academic institution. So we're going to open the year in Pittsburgh, a place that has got a lot of John Carroll alum. I think that's going to be a really exciting game. We would like to continue to expand our boundaries. Some of those places we went because that's where the NCAA sent us in the playoffs. So let's keep making the playoffs and keep seeing where they want to send us. I will say this.